Business Lunch with Coach Lindie. En sy sê, Lindie, gaan dit goed?
Dit gaan uitstekend, baie dankie.
Always a pleasure to have you. Ja,
I
lekker.
know.
Can't wait to listen to you chatting to Kathi Hyde, the industrial psychologist, business coach, author, and world traveller. Am I right?
That's about it in a nutshell. And it's lovely, lovely to be here.
Fantastic and welcome. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. So, Lindie, let's get going.
So, Kathi, and I've got to say, listeners, Kathi actually resides now most of her time abroad, between England and Scotland, actually. And she's an amazing, interesting person. But I got to know Kathi now almost a decade ago, and I'm proud to say that Kathi has been the flag bearer in amongst us coaches with Action Coach for many years. So, of course, the privilege to chat to you today. Thank you, Kathi, for coming in.
It's an absolute pleasure.
I know.
And on such a beautiful day.
I know. And she was sitting with a stringy top coming from the UK. I mean, this is warm,
This is
gotta
hot.
say. So let's dive straight into it. Kathi, I mean, of course, I can talk to you for hours about your really award-winning journey as a coach, because that's the Kathi I knew. Yeah. But what was amazing for me is, reading another Kathi and the story of Kathi behind the book. And I know that you want this interview to focus on the journey in writing the book and what the book's about. So without further ado, the book is Piece by Piece, Kathi Hyde. So Kathi, it's being said that there's a book in all of us. So, entrepreneur, speaker, world traveler, coach, and then author. Yeah. So how did writing this book come about? Let's just start there. When did you realize this book's in you and you need to write this book?
Okay, well, thank you, Lindie. So, keeping it short, I decided to take a sabbatical, having started a business that I designed to pay for life. Because that's what any business is. It's a vehicle that funds life. And if it doesn't, then something's wrong. So having done that successfully as a single mother, unemployable, in a new country, starting from scratch, I had to make ends meet. So I built a business, I did it with help, and it became successful. It also became exhausting after 15 years. So I awarded myself a sabbatical because I could. I thought, as a graduate in journalism and a lover of words, that I would treat myself to a sabbatical in Edinburgh, and I'd go to J.K. Rowling's coffee shop and I'd write a book. Like, how hard can it be?
Yeah, the words are going to come. The book's going to fall out of somewhere.
So I thought I'd go, I went around Peru, I went down the Amazon. I went down the Amazon and hiked in the Andes to get perspective and space, and then I landed in Edinburgh. The next day, Nicola Sturgeon locked us all down.
Yeah, and that was in March 2020.
That's in March 2020. So I thought, okay, well, while I'm stuck in Edinburgh and the weather is shite there, even in summer, I'll do this book. So I started, and I think what it was I'd been thinking about it for 20 years, and then life created the space. And so I actually did it quite quickly thereafter. So it took 6 months to birth a 20-year thing. Why? Why did I write it? Because when COVID lifted, there were all these gaps where shops used to be, restaurants were struggling, the cost of living crisis hit the UK, South Africa, people were emerging from lockdown, having to restart with no mental bandwidth, feeling tired, and there was the sense that more than ever, business needed help and predominantly didn't feel that they could pay for it. Didn't have the time, didn't have the money to pay for it. So how do we make available good, sound business building principles, because there are rules to building a good business, as accessible as possible, so I can put it in a book. So I wrote it almost as a handbook to getting back up, starting over, or stepping up. Because those were the two senses that I got. People were going to, right, I've got to relaunch the restaurant, I've got to reopen the business, I've got to get back to the office, or oh my goodness, I've got too much month at the end of my money. We need to grow like fast. Or we're experiencing runaway growth because suddenly, and we're scrabbling to keep control of that. So there's a requirement to step up. So it deals with you, the business owner, and then also with the business. And if you were to engage in business coaching for a year or two, this is what you would get. So at $300, I think it is, at exclusives, no one's got an excuse now to build badly.
Or say, well, I don't know where to start, or I have no clue what to do.
That's it.
I'm sitting here smiling because, the unintended consequence of lockdown is, okay, now your excuse is gone. I've now got to write this book.
That's it.
So what did you literally do? I mean, because all things get birthed from sticking at it. I mean, did you have a daily routine? I mean, just a little bit of an insight into how did this actually then happen?
So I got a writing coach because I think coaching is magnificent.
There we go. Okay.
It's magnificent in any form. You look at any excellent person, whether it's sports, somewhere along the line they've had a mentor who's helped them be the best me they can be, right? Because we step up. I'm a psychologist and I can tell you that we step up when we have accountability. It's just as simple as that.
There we go.
So I got a writing coach and that was interesting. It's like you go online overseas and there's like 1,000 very famous, very expensive people. So I picked a Scottish lass who would literally say to me, that's crap. You can't say that. And together we birthed this thing. And it's at exclusives. It's online, Amazon, Audible. And if you and your business aren't where you need to be, get it.
But, Chrissy, something I want to get back to Kathi on something she said. Look, the coach just unlocked. It was the key to the story. I mean, the story was in you.
Yeah.
And the coach was there being the facilitator, the catalyst in birthing what's in you anyway. And I think isn't that just the amazing thing about coaching? Nobody's going to change your story, but you need someone to push you across that ledge to make it happen.
Well, first we agreed a structure, then we agreed a timeline, and then it was just produce chunks of the book to meet
in a
those
consistent
deadlines.
way.
In a consistent way.
Yeah.
And we got it done in 6 months, and it was very, very quick after that. And
So Chrissy, when we come back, I mean, of course, exploring a little bit more, and I'd like to ask Kathi, her insight into the parallels between her having to start again and so many other business owners having to start again. Like, do I need to have to do it now all over again? Yeah, you have. So we're going to explore that parallels. Is that die regte woord?
Dis die regte woord.
Parallelle.
Ja.
Yes, like lekker woord in Afrikaans. Difficult to say in English.
Straight after this, we'll be back with Business Lunch with Coach Lindie. 27 minutes past 12. We are busy with Business Lunch with Coach Lindie. She is chatting to Kathi Hyde. Lindie.
Kathi, when I read the book, I was struck with the parallels, the similarities between you having to start a new life, a new career at 46, and thinking about that's not very different from many business owners out there having to, like in a microwave, start all over again, almost like daily, weekly, monthly, reinventing themselves. Do you agree?
yes. So the thing is that faced with a seismic left turn, marriage blows up, I'm having to come back or start again, relocate, set up home, unemployable, earn a living. So I created a business out of necessity. And for many people post-COVID, they had to create a business out of necessity. And like many of the readers that I wrote the book for, I wasn't particularly educated in business building. I didn't read and study business building. And there are rules and there is design. And if you get it wrong, it will turn around and bite you. Like riding a lion, yay. And then suddenly it turns around and bites you. So you can get it very wrong. That's why the stats are so dismal. But when you get it right, it's the only way. It's the only way to have success on your terms, because I can't be fired from my own business. So if I can build it right, build it successfully, make it work, I have security. I have financial security.
On my own terms.
On my own terms, because I'm my own boss. If I get it wrong, everything is in there, and then it gets really, really stressful. And people get it wrong because they don't necessarily educate themselves. It's not easy to find resources that tell you in a nutshell, here are the rules to building a good business. So I wrote that book to just distill down, here's the basics that will get you in the business to the start line. And it's very simple, but it is absolutely not easy.
And I like what you say, because when I read the book, I was struck by the honesty and it's very practical.
Yes.
I mean, but that's always been you, Kathi.
Yes.
There's no beating around the bush.
Yes.
This is going to be the truth.
Yes.
And whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you it anyway.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
It's straight and honest.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I think this is a place where business owners can start, because unconsciously incompetent is also a thing.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes. So the thing is every business owner I've spoken to, whether they're successful or not, knows what they should be doing.
Or have a hunch.
More than a hunch. If I was to say, what do you need to do in the next 90 days to fix your business, most could tell me.
I need more clients, or
whatever.
I need more sales, or whatever.
How becomes the problem. Right. So that's why I called it a practical guide to stepping up and starting over. So it spells out, if you need to get more leads, here are the strategies that will work. If you need to increase your conversion rate, here are the strategies that will work. If your headspace is all over the place, or you don't have a sense of self-belief, then here are some life hacks that you can engage in. So it was distilling down so that it takes away the excuse. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to do it. I'm like, well, read the book.
That's a starting point.
Yes.
Then I'm super excited to also announce that Kathi has almost finished her second book. So, and I think it sounds like, once you get going, it's really hard to stop, right?
Look, words are Moorish, and the thing is you write this thing, you go around, you do the launches, you talk to business owners, and this first book, Piece by Piece, is very much for the early stages of business starting or restarting. Then the thing happens that you've been in it for a while, you're established, and you're not necessarily properly profitable yet, or you go, how am I going to exit this thing? I'm a rock star. I can't exit this thing. Do I sell it? Who do I sell it to? I'm now 56 and I'm tired. What do I do next? So for the more established business owner, there's a different set of questions. So the second book I've called Just Whose Business Is It? Big fat question mark. And I've based it on the psychological reality that you build something that mirrors you. So often we can be, as owners, the biggest obstacle to ending well, to being properly profitable.
Away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I've done some almost avatars of different business owners, so people can find themselves. And
the
then I've done
relatability, right? That's me. Okay, now let me listen what Kathi says.
And then I've got some more practical, what do I do to resolve that?
That's amazing.
So the first book is more for sort of the early stage business owner, or the one who's been doing the same year for 20 years.
Yeah, repeating the same stuff, expecting different result.
That's
that
it.
one.
So that's like the start. It's also more about you, the owner. Then the second one is about how do I become properly profitable, stay properly profitable, and plan for exit.
So, Christy, when we come back, and I think I just want to lead us into the next, something, Kathi, you said, when there's two profound times in one's life is the day you're born and the day you find out what your purpose is. I can't pick up the quote right now.
Yes.
But it seems to me you found your purpose, and this is exciting, and this is amazing, and you're not holding back on those words coming. Christy, when we come back, of course, would love to chat to Kathi a little. Where's the time gone so by? Can you please now just pause?
I'll stop the time now.
Please do that.
Okay. After the
Distract
song.
management. We can continue.
I can come back.
I'll stop the time after this song. Business Lunch with Lindie. That's what we business with. We're in business today. Business Lunch with Lindie. We're busy, or she's busy, chatting to Kathi Hyde. A last session, Lindie.
So the title Piece by Piece starts off with the acronym of peace, and peace standing for purpose. And we ended off by talking about purpose, and it was actually Mark Twain said the most important days in your life are the days you're born and the day you found out why. So this ever elusive purpose. So take me through, you said at 56 I've run out of vision. So do we have one purpose, or do we have, how does this all fall out, and where to from there?
So what I think, all these people who write about purpose and finding your purpose, finding your why, they're touching, as a psychologist, on I can tell you this, they're touching on the reality that as humans we're meaning makers. And if we don't understand why we're doing something, we struggle to sustain it, we struggle to engage in it, and this inner cheetah that we unleash on life when we love something and we're sort of doing something and we sort of running with purpose, it just doesn't function, and then we sort of stop on the way. So knowing why we do something is really critical, but we can complicate it and we can get very woke about it and miss the reality that, for me, my why was I needed bucks to survive, and my daughter was not going to pay the price of my divorce. And that was simply the thing that kept me on track to doing the hard yards.
But you said that became your purpose.
Very much so. And the thing is it didn't exempt me from hard yards, but when it got hard, I could look at that and say, it means enough to me to get out of bed and train in the rain, run uphill and do what needed to do. Then I got to 56, had enough money, daughter graduated, and I suddenly woke up and I was like one of these amoeba. I said, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, who am I? Who am I now? And I'm like, and I realized I had to revision, because I needed something that was going to get me going for the next season. So it's not a thing that you start and then finish. You've done it once. Every season there's changes, seismic turn, suddenly you get divorced, you've got to revision, what does life mean for me now? Where am I going? What's the end in mind that I'm chasing? What's my true north? And if we get that wrong, we'll know, because we don't work through the hard yards. When we get it right, we're not going to have this kind of kumbaya, I love every day, because that's not real either. But we will have a sense of grit and a sense of traction when we find this thing called purpose. And it can be honestly as simple as, I don't want my kids to starve, I want to hold this roof over my head,
I just want some time to myself. I just want to know that I'm human. Kathi, but I think therein lies what I think is your writing and your amazing ability to put life into words and books. And especially Piece by Piece, listeners, please grab the book. It's at Exclusive Books online. It's everywhere. You don't have an excuse. The second book, Just Whose Business Is It? And I think what you're doing is once the purpose awareness is part of who we are as business owners, you can never escape from that again. So we just repurpose ourselves again.
Well, the thing is that you'll know when you've hit it, because you can keep going through the hard times.
There we go. You can sustain it.
So I know a lot of people who borrow a purpose or a goal from, parents said, you can take on the world, or peers say, you should be doing better. And they sort of appropriate this purpose. And then you find that they fade. So they won't confront the hard stuff. They won't walk through the hard yards. And you realize, oh my goodness, you're living on a borrowed purpose. This isn't your idea of success. Because success is deeply personal. And you need to find out what makes life tick for you. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So the first half of my book walks you through, here's how I did it. It worked for me. If I can, you can. Because I wasn't special. And to find that then gives you that momentum. And momentum is what you need to do the hard yards in anything, be it health, relationship, bringing up kids, surviving today. You know, like you need that. And it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be nice. So what's going to keep you? And that's that Nietzsche thing. You know, we'll do anyhow when we know why.
I've heard someone say, Kathi, sometimes the actual goal is the journey. You know, and you know how the person we become, because we get to learn so many things about ourselves. So what have you learned about yourself, Kathi, in this process of birthing these books? And then sadly we'll have to end up with that. What have you, you know, what have you unearthed about yourself?
So just to go back to that, the goal can be the journey, yes and no. You've got to have a clear target to aim for.
Sure.
And often that comes down to money. So I think that's, and people say, oh, you can't do that, you can't chase money. But money funds life. It solves lots of problems. So when you look at your life, you know, doing the things you like, having the things that you want, experiencing, traveling, what is that going to cost? And then that's how big you build a business to fund it. Okay. And be practical. Don't be tree huggy about that. Be practical. And that process of building the mechanism to fund life, what has it taught me is that when I follow the rules and do it well, I experience freedom. Like, I'm 59 now, I don't have to work. Yay. So I've said, okay, well, if I can do that as a divorcee, a refugee twice, a penniless, unemployable single mum, if I can do that in 12 years, well, anybody can. And I did it from my house between 9:30 and 3:30 because I was a single mum. If I can, anyone can. So I've literally just put the recipe down in the first book. Then in the second one that's coming out in March next year is if you're established and still don't have that freedom, like, now what?
Now what? Yeah.
Okay, so that was the second one. So I remain a truth teller, and I remain an encourager, and I remain an absolute evangelist for if you're going to do business, do it well. Defy the stats. Annoy your critics.
Yeah, annoy your critics. And I was going to say, we've got definitely less time, we think. Christy, you know, Kathi, thank you so much. You know, once again, you've been such an inspiration. I know she's back in the country in March next year, launching her second book.
Yeah.
So definitely going to grab her, come back.
I would love to.
And then, Kathi, please tell our listeners, you know, where do they get the book? I mean, I've said it, but let's just reiterate it for those that missed it.
So you can get it at Exclusives. You can get it online with Amazon, but publisher.co.za means you'll avoid the international duty. So that's awesome. You get it for cheaper. Or if you don't like reading, which many entrepreneurs don't, get it on Audible and I'll read it to you.
And Kathi reads it. Best advice ever. Christy, thank you. And Kathi, I bless you with many more words.
Thank you.
And yeah, just enjoy and be safe and come back.
I absolutely will do.
Thanks
you.
a lot for coming in, Kathi. What an inspiration. Lindie, vir jou baie dankie. Ons sien weer volgende week, selfde tyd.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christy.